Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited. John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose. The man who rules the world runs into the irresistible force of a man with nothing to lose in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get the regular and variant editions of John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose on Amazon.com today. When it comes down to the black comic book community, the black fantasy the community, the black sci-fi community, and the black manga community, there are some individuals out here who are jockeying to become the H-Nice. And what is an H-Nice? H-Nice stands for the head Negro in charge. And these individuals want to be the gatekeepers who take control over the platform of black comic books, black fantasy, black science fiction, and black manga, and control the narrative of these genres of black art. And they want to be able to have that power so that they can make a platform that appears to be appealing to white people. Now, I am not someone who would support any sort of campaign to become any sort of H-Nice over black comics, black fantasy, black science fiction, and black manga, because I understand that it's important for us to have a diversity of voices out here and a diversity of stories out here, because when it comes down to our image, it's not about us creating images that are appealing to whites and other non-blacks. It is about us creating our stories for ourselves and us having the richest and broadest platform to present our stories for us, by us, and be able to share those stories on that platform. Because when it comes down to black media, we need as many voices out there as possible, and we need as many people out there telling our stories and giving our black children the richest and most diverse array of images and stories, because we're not going to get our stories told on those mainstream media platforms. And when we do get our stories told in those media platforms, oftentimes they are watered down, or there are passive aggressive, insidious narratives embedded in those stories that are detrimental to the stories and their impact on young people. So when I look at the platforms of your black comics, your black science fiction, your black fantasy, and your black manga, I have to push back against anybody who wants to come out here and wants to talk about how they want to become some sort of H-Nice and some sort of gatekeeper, and want to go out of their way to try to dictate who can come onto the platforms and who can present their stories on those platforms. Because when you have people like that out here, what they're doing is they're trying to censor other black creators, and that's something we really don't need right now. Because when it comes down to every black creator out here, their opportunities are very, very rare out here for us, and to have others out here trying to keep other blacks off the platform, that's something I find to be extremely egregious. The only thing that I believe should be is everybody should have access to the marketplace. They should be able to put their material out here, and it should be the marketplace will decide who is successful and who is not. We do not need a elite group of gatekeepers coming in trying to dictate what will be defined as black comics, black fantasy, black science fiction, black manga. It should be the audience who decides that, and everybody should have access to that marketplace and that platform. And I don't want to see a group of elitist gatekeepers coming in and trying to control the platform, because what will happen in that case is, instead of us getting a diverse variety of images that allow black kids and black adults to see a rich and broad picture of black culture and the black experience, what we're going to get is this tunnel that will take us right back to those images that were stereotypes that white racists considered to be acceptable for black people. So I don't want to see any group of elites coming in and talking about how they're going to be this age nice group of gatekeepers over, black comics, science fiction, manga. We need as many diverse images out there, and we need as many stories out there, because the more stories and images that are out there, the more power black people can take over their image, and the more creators that are out there, the more power we control over that narrative, and the more resources being put into black comics, black science fiction, black manga, and your black sci-fi, the more media that is out there. And the more media that is out there, again, the more we control the narrative. And it's not about one person controlling the narrative. It is about all of us taking more and more control over our image, more and more control over our stories, and more control over ourselves, so that instead of us thinking that we have to fit into somebody else's world and be represented in somebody else's world, our perception changes, and we're thinking about how we're going to be a part of our own world, and how we're going to be in our own world, and how we live in our own world, and creating a world where we are the ones in power and we are the ones in control. That's the most important thing about black comics, black science fiction, black manga, and black fantasy, is that we are imagining ourselves as the ones having that power, and then using that as an inspiration to take power in the real world. And then when you have your gatekeepers out here trying to tell people who can be on here, what that happens is you have somebody trying to take power away from other black people, and that is unacceptable as I see it. When it comes down to black comics, black science fiction, black manga, we need as many people on the ground creating this media, because this media is going to shape the next generation and how it thinks about itself, how it sees itself, and we need as many people out there creating images to become the counter images to what your kids see in mainstream media, like these Kenya Barris shows and many of these other shows that present you with negative and detrimental images of black people. All the black comic creators, sci-fi creators, fantasy creators, and manga creators, when they come out here and they create media that shows you a positive image of a black man or a positive image of a black woman, what that does is it gives your kids something to be inspired by, and it gives them someone to aspire to be like, and it gives them somebody that when they look at their stories, they see themselves in the forefront, and they see value in being black. So that's one of the reasons why I would not support any sort of gatekeeping and stuff like that, because I know how detrimental it is to black people when we have gatekeepers who want to try to control the image of black people, because usually many of these gatekeepers, who are out here, they're going to go in with many of these racists out here, and they're going to go out here trying to breathe brand new life into old stereotypes, instead of giving us the balanced and humanized images like I've seen from many of the independent black comic creators, black sci-fi creators, black manga creators, and black fantasy creators. I have seen rich, diverse images, and we need to continue keeping those images out there. And we don't need an H-Nice that makes images that are appealing to white people. No, we need a rich, diverse group of black creators out here making media for black people, by black people, and to empower black people. If you want to try some of my positive black fantasy fiction, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the Spinsterella trilogy, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. There you can find all my books in paperback and Kindle formats. And if you want to see me make more videos like this, You can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers this April, Isis, the main event. It's carnage inside of a steel cage as the goddess next door steps in the squared circle against the beast from the falls in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, the main event this April.